Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global TV News Circle here in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Fauziya Lukman. President Bola Tinubu will be launching the renewed Hope Police Town Hall meeting on Monday in Lagos in a bid towards strengthening community policing and for Nigerians to key into the renewed Hope Police agenda for his administration. Announcing this on Thursday in Abuja, Minister of State Police Affairs Imam Suleiman Ibrahim stated that she would be engaging stakeholders on Monday in Lagos. She added that the town hall meetings will be held not only in Lagos but across the country to afford Nigerians the opportunity to air their views on issues surrounding the security of lives and property in accordance with the global best practices. The Sultan of Sokoto, Dr. Muhammad Saad Abubakar, has demanded justice for the victims of the military airstrikes that killed over 100 people in the Turumburni village in Ekabi local government area of Kaduna State. He made this known at the silver anniversary of the 11th Emir of Jama'ah, Dr. Muhammad Isa Muhammad CON, on the throne at the Emir Palace in Kafanchan, Kaduna on Friday. Noting that amid celebration of the Emir, they were gathered to also pray for the lives of those killed in Kaduna State, emphasizing the need to push for it until justice is served to the people. In his response, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, described what happened in Kaduna as highly regrettable, owing to the fact that the duty of the military is to protect the citizens, while assuring the people that serious actions will be taken to prevent reoccurrence, adding that the President has ordered a thorough investigation onto the matter. The House of Representatives Committee on Appropriation, chaired by Representative Abubakar Bichi on Monday, resumed interaction sessions with the GOEs over the 2024 declaration of target, insisting project revenues is not enough for the country. He attributed rising inflation to a major problem, hence the need for the GOEs to appear before the committee for further interaction. Bichi noted that reducing the burden of Nigeria's debt profile, sectoral budgetary allocations, and the dynamics of budget release, economic diversification strategies, revenue generation forecast is needed to facilitate the enactment of the bill and effectively implementation of the Appropriation Act. To this end, this committee chairman summoned government-owned enterprises to include the Minister of Finance, FIRS, NUPRC, NCC, GEC Custom, NNPCA, NPA, NIMASA, Minister of State for Petroleum, the CBN Governor, among others, to appear in person on Monday, 10 a.m. prompt, local time. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory FCT, Nyesom Wike, has called President Bola Tinubu's administration will continue to take hard decisions to make things work in the FCT and entire Nigeria. Wike said that the project he is embarking on in the FCT will born out of hard decisions taken by his administration to deliver on the presidential mandate. The minister made this known in Abuja during the official flag-off of the second phase of the refacing and remedial works on some roads within Haibro Asokoro district. He said Tinubu's administration had good plans for Nigeria, but hard decisions must be made and taken to actualize it through the renewed hope agenda. The Nigerian Senate Committee on Labor and Productivity, led by Senator Dickett Blank, has taken steps to the augment of the 2024 budget of Labor Ministry, aligning it with Ministry's proposed allocation of 13 billion. This action was prompted by a motion raised by Senator Tahir Mongunu during the committee's meeting with the Minister of Labor and Employment, Sama Lalong, the Minister of State, Honorable Nkiruka Onyejicha, and other ministry members at the National Assembly complex in Abuja. Sandra Aqua has the details.
Senator Mongunu emphasized the committee's authority in appropriation, asserting that they possess the power to adjust the budget as necessary.
This budget as presented by the executive is not sacrosanct. It's subject to tinkering by the legislature. So as such, we have all the powers of appropriation. This is very clear and unequivocal in the Constitution. The power of appropriation lies with the National Assembly. So if in our wisdom and in the wisdom of our appropriation committee and the leadership, that the allocation that is made given to the Ministry of Labor and Productivity is grossly inadequate. We have all the powers to tinker it and increase it in tandem with the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President.
This committee, that what has been submitted, what has been estimated, or the envelope given to Ministry of Labor and Productivity should be increased? Yes. Is it all your opinion? Yes.
Expressing gratitude, the ministers highlighted the challenge of inadequate funding in the Labour Ministry. Minister Simon Lalong pointed out that insufficient funding for labour issues contributes to civil unrest in some African countries.
There was every strike everywhere. There were reasons for some of this strike. If the ministry is well funded, there will be no strike in Nigeria. There will be no strike in Nigeria. You can see most of the African countries now, they are collapsing and people are now changing government because the workers are not adequately kept.
Sandra Akpa, reporting for Global TV News.
The Ondo State Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Razak Obi, has alleged that the signature of the state governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, was forged. Obi stated this in a letter he wrote to the Deputy State Governor, Lucky Ayedetiwa, calling on the attention of the leader to development. In the letter, Obi noted that after his discovery, the forensic expert had confirmed that governor's signature was forged. Recall that a senior advocate of Nigeria, Kayode Ojulu, alleged that some officials in the administration of the Ondo State Governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, were signing documents on behalf of the ailing governor. According to him, the Deputy Governor, Lucky Ayedetiwa, cannot take over from the governor since power has not been transferred to him constitutionally, making way for the hijack of the state governance by the cabal. Adding that some of the commissioners, about 5 of them, sent memos to the governor and they all returned with approval. The World Health Organization on Friday said antimicrobial resistance may lead to 10 million deaths by 2050 if urgent actions are not taken to reduce its burden. The WHO also expressed worry over the increasing use of antimicrobial medicines, saying that the total global antibiotics consumptions in the human, animals and agriculture increased by 30% between 2000 and 2010. It declared that the AMR is one of the top 10 global public health threats facing humanity. The technical officer of the AMR at the WHO Nigerian office, Dr. Laxmikant Shavan, said this is the 7th conference of the Association of Nigerian Health Journalists in collaboration with the World Health Organization in Nasarawa State. The federal government has announced the imminent enforcement of the Disability Rights Act starting in January. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, made this known while addressing journalists on the World Disability Day in Abuja. She said the act in effort to protect the rights and improve the lives of people living with disability in Nigeria. Global TV brings you more. The Disability Rights Act was passed by the National Assembly in January 2019 after several years of advocacy by disability rights activists. However, the legislation has not been fully enforced until now. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation says the enactment and implementation of the Disability Act is a deliberate collection of data of persons with disability, adding that the Act covers a wide array of rights, including the prohibition of discrimination against persons with disability in various sectors such as education, employment, healthcare, and public transportation. However, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation further called on speakers at the State House of Assembly to domesticate the act.
The Disability Act has made provisions to prohibit all forms of discrimination, marginalization, and abuse of persons with disability. The government is already putting in place mechanisms to establish an access to work scheme for persons with disability. We're challenging all the speakers and the state houses of assembly to quickly swing into action, working with the executive to domesticate this act.
Executive Secretary, National Commissions for Persons with Disability, NCPWD, explained that the act is aimed at eradicating discrimination and ensure equal opportunities for every citizen, irrespective of their physical or mental abilities, adding that the Commission is transiting from the era of advocacy to the era of enforcement to ensure the provisions of the law are properly enforced.
It is the law of Nigeria that if you discriminate against a person with disability, there are sanctions. If you approve a building without following the code, you can be imprisoned for that. All persons with disability must be insured with the NHIS. We're looking at the bill to set up a deaf university.
The House Committee Chairman on Disability, Honorable Bashir Daudu, shed light on sanctions on the discrimination of persons with disability and proposed establishment of a university for the deaf in Nigeria.
A lot of enforcement is here. By January, the Commission is expected to move out in full force to make sure that the provisions of the law are properly enforced. The Commission will start meeting with its own partners, compose the task force immediately before this Christmas. Everything will be on ground before the roundup of this year, so that as we come early next year, the task force will be inaugurated. Immediately after inaugurating the task force, immediately by the time on the 16th of January 2024, our assessment may not only end on the physical facilities, but the composition of the staff in these institutions. We want to know how many they have as persons with disabilities, the total number of the staff in these institutions, and then the maintenance of the 5% in these institutions. So we have to find out all of this so that we can be able to know whether they comply with the provision of the law.
It is expected that the Enforcement Act passed into law will enhance the inclusion and accessibility of persons living with disability in Nigeria. Fauziya Lukman, Global TV News. In a bid to eradicate the form of injustice in the judicial system on individuals detained and further go on trials without having access to lawyers, the federal government, in partnership with the legal stakeholders, have launched the Police Duty Solicitors Scheme, PDSS, to help curb out of the practices in the system. Sharon Ajay completes the story.
The Chairman Police Service Commission, Solomon Arase, says the natural right with enhancement of fundamental human rights of individuals, unless otherwise proven, should be duly respected. He emphasized on the need to push the scheme forward as part of its aim for the voiceless to be heard, decongesting the police cells of innocent people.
In view of the rising incidents and complaints from the public bordering on violation, infringements of people's human rights by the Nigerian police force, the introduction of the PDS in response to the imperative outlined in the Administrative of Criminal Justice, which the Attorney General just alluded to, was a watershed moment in our commitment to safeguarding the rights of individuals in police custody. Historically, detainees faced prolonged periods in police facilities without access to legal representation, leading to routine violation of their rights. The PDDS, driven by a commitment to justice, has become a mechanism through which lawyers provide free legal services to detainees across Nigeria, ensuring that their rights are not only protected on paper, but upheld in praxis.
The Attorney General, Lateef Fagbemi, ably Teacher Department Gladys Odugbaru, in a speech, urges all states to domesticate the scheme for full benefit of innocent prisoners and the government.
The scheme also comes with the advantage of preventing undue congestion of inmates in correctional facilities, with the consequential benefits of saving government the resources required to maintain a large population of inmates or detainees. I therefore enjoin all the states to domesticate the PDSS in order to extend the benefits of the scheme across the country and further deepen criminal justice reforms.
Based on the financial aid gotten by the federal government, the Director General Legal Aid has assured a successful operation of the scheme. Also added that the more the funds, the better the work.
But we can assure you that with the little that we have been able to be getting from the federal government in terms of our appropriation, in terms of statutory funding, we have been able to do as much as we can be able to do. But it is not to say that we cannot do more if we have more funding.
Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
Ogun State government have announced 50 million naira reward for anyone who could provide information leading to the arrest of the killers of Taiwo Oyekami, the former Director of Finance and Administration attached to Governor Dapo Abiodun office, Okemusang Abiyokuta. Oyekami, age 51, was last Wednesday, November 29th, killed by government at the Kutu flyover bridge, Abiyokuta. The gunmen killed the Ifeanyi Tobo-born chaired accountant and made away with the huge cash. Governor Dapo Abiodun, who said that the killing of the senior civil servant left his cabinet devastated and traumatized, promised not to leave any stone unturned until the killers are brought to justice. The Nigerian Navy Forward Operating Base FOB Formoso has intercepted a fishing trawler and 14 crew members, including 2 Indians, for violating the Sea Fishery Act along Brass Coastal in Bayelsa State. The arrested trawler MVF 7 Star and its 14 crew members have been handed over to the Federal Department of Fisheries, while the 2 Indians were handed over to the Nigerian Immigration Service. Also, white substances found in the trawler was handed over to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA, Bayelsa State Command 4 for the investigation. Speaking during the handover at the Forward Operating Base in Egwema, Brass local government area, the commanding officer, Captain Murtala Aminu Rogu, disclosed that the trawler was arrested on November 29, 2023. He added that such maritime infrastructures would not be tolerated by Navy, both on Nigerian waters and the Gulf of the Guinea at large. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons have rescued and received 21,181 victims of human trafficking in 20 years. The Director General of NAPTIP, Fatima Wazira Azi, said this when she appeared before the Senate Committee on Social Duties for the Defense of 2024 budget. She said the agency would try to support victims as long as they needed to be supported, noting that the process requires time and a lot of money. She explained that NAPTIP provides legal, medical support, rehabilitation, and reintegration support to the victims. You're watching Global TV News Circle, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We are on StarTime channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. When Global TV News Circle returns, counterfeit note in circulation as naira scarcity persists, CBN. The news continues shortly with details of these and other stories right after this short break. Please don't go away. Welcome back to Global Television, bringing you live broadcasts of the news circle from the nation's capital, Abuja. The foreign scene, Hunter Biden was indicated last Thursday on multiple counts of tax evasion. The second time this year, President Joe Biden's son has been charged by the special counsel investigating his personal and business dealings. Hunter Biden engaged in a 4-year scheme to not pay at least $1.4 million in self-assessed federal taxes he owed for tax years through 2016 through 2019. Special counsel David Weiss says in the 56-page indictment filed in the U.S. District Court in California. Biden was charged with 9 counts of failing to file and pay taxes, tax evasion, and filing false tax returns. The indictment shows the new charges serve up more accurate embarrassment for Joe Biden as he wages an uphill battle for re-election and fends up a Republican bid to impeach him on grounds that he benefited from his son's overseas business dealings. The government of Canada has announced that the cost of living financial requirement for study permit applicants will raise significantly starting January 1st, 2024. The government says the increase is necessary to ensure that international students are financially prepared for life in Canada, which has become significantly more expensive since the previous requirement was set. The change announced by Immigration Minister Mark Miller on Thursday reflects the rise of cost of living in Canada, which has outpaced the previous financial requirements set in the early 2000s. International students provide significant cultural, social and economic benefits to their communities, but they also face challenges navigating life in Canada. We're revising the cost of living threshold so that international students understand the true cost of living here, says Miller. Miller quotes that January 1st single study permit applicants will need demonstration that they have $20,635 CAD available in addition to their first year of tuition cost. Salvos of rockets were launched today in the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, heavily for the Green Zone. The mission said the latest in a flurry of such attacks amid the Israel-Hamas war. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. The U.S. state leads an international coalition battling jihadis in Iraq and neighboring Syria, and its forces have come under repeated attacks in recent weeks. A week after dozens of miners were buried by the Musland in Zambia, the government says on Friday it was committed to rescuing all those still trapped on the ground. Vice President Mutali Namalangu told Parliament that operations to retrieve that about 36 workers will continue indefinitely after a survivor was pulled from the rubble earlier this week. The miners became trapped last week when torrential rain set off a tornado of mud that buried the open cast mine in Zambia's mid-Copper Belt region. Russia's President Vladimir Putin says he will stand for re-election in 2024, according to the Russian news agencies. This will allow Kremlin leaders extend his decades-long grade on powers into 2030s. The 71-year-old has led Russia since the turn of the century, winning 4 presidential ballots and briefly serving as prime minister in a system where opposition became virtually non-existent. That's it on Global TV News Circle. We are on StarTime channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. On behalf of the production team, I am Fauziya Lukman. Thanking you so very much for watching.